Homes aren't just built differently over time, they have their own era-specific personality flaws. The way they were built, the construction, the materials used for insulation, these all lead to very specific problems that homeowners face now. These issues over the decades have led to roughly about 89% of homes being under-insulated. By understanding the era that your home was built in, you can pretty much predict what kind of issues you're going to have or you're already having. We're going to start in the 1920s and we're going to travel through time to the present to talk about the different kind of issues you could be experiencing depending on the decade your home was built. We're going to start this journey through time in the 1920s to the 1940s. This is what I like to call the wood insulation era. During this time period, this is where you're going to find lots of fun things in the walls, like horsehair, corn cobs, seaweed. I didn't make any of that up. That's what they used. That and newspaper. If your home was built during that time period, you're probably dealing with high energy bills, temperature swings from room to room, drafty rooms, those sorts of things, and musty basements. Why are these issues happening? Things like corn cobs and horsehair don't really offer much in the realm of thermal resistance, getting a lot of air leakage into the home, and the materials that were used in the walls at the time likely have broken down, which means those wall cavities are essentially empty. Now we're heading into the 1950s, which is the era I like to call speed over efficiency. During this time period, you're going to see a lot of fiberglass and cellulose. Now, fiberglass was introduced in the 1930s, but became a popular choice for home insulation in the 50s. Cellulose was also around, but you're going to see more of it in the 50s than in previous eras. So some things that homeowners whose homes were built in this time period are likely noticing is that fiberglass, it didn't really hold up all that well. It's probably thinned out substantially, which means it's only about 2 to 3 inches thick, which is not that much compared to what it was when it was installed. There's also going to be drafts around baseboards and electrical outlets and light switches, rooms that during the winter months you just can't seem to get warm. And let's talk about the attic. That blown-in cellulose is either going to be piled up in all the corners with nothing in the middle, or it's going to be scattered and you're going to have random areas with no coverage. So why are homes that were built in this time period experiencing comfort issues? Sure, insulation was widely available, but air sealing wasn't a thing yet. On top of that, there were inconsistencies with the quality of the install, and our values weren't nearly as high as they are today. Now we're in the 1960s and 70s, the era that I like to call better than before, but still not great. You're going to see lots of fiberglass because that's the dominant choice. Cellulose is used a lot more, and we have the first versions of foam insulation in the 1970s. Homes built in the 1960s and 70s are going to see attics with little to no insulation in them, walls that are cold to the touch, and lots of drafts. There'll also be issues with room-to-room comfort. One room might be comfortable while the other one feels like a sauna or an ice box. Also, finally, probably dealing with ice dams. So why is all of this happening? Well, the codes did improve, but they didn't account for any kind of air sealing. Also, those R values were still pretty low, which meant that when air moved through the materials like fiberglass and cellulose, it was diminishing the R value even more, which has now led to the uncomfortable home. Now we're in the 80s, baby, and let me tell you, we've got higher R values, but still no air sealing. Now in the 1980s, builders wanted to fiberglass all the things. We put it in the attic, we put it in the walls, we put it in the crawl space, and we put it in the basement. There were higher R values than previous decades, but we still don't see a lot to do with foam insulation and air sealing. If your home was built in the 1980s, you're likely dealing with drafts despite all of that good insulation. That also means, though, that the area around your pipes and electrical wiring, there's probably not any insulation coverage there because there's no good way to get the fiberglass into those spots to cover that penetration. The same is going to be true about if you're dealing with cold floors. Your fiberglass in your crawl space is likely sagging at this point because it's older, and it's going to allow for air movement. That cold air coming up through the crawl space into your home is causing the cold floors. Builders added more insulation, but air leakage was rarely addressed. So that fiberglass that you have all over your home, when air moves through it, that actually lessens its performance. So you're going to be dealing with comfort issues even when insulation is present. The 1990s is where the code minimum becomes the norm. In the 1990s, we see improved fiberglass and cellulose and the occasional use of rigid foam board. But we also see more complex home designs, including vaulted ceilings, higher ceilings, and bonus rooms above garages. Now, some things that you're likely noticing in your home is that the attic insulation has settled. You've got some drafty knee walls. The bonus room above your garage is always uncomfortable, and your ductwork is running through an unconditioned attic. So what led to these issues? Well, the home met code, but the code wasn't optimal. Another thing was that the installation quality wasn't quite there, and the complicated design that I mentioned meant that there were a lot of areas that were left uninsulated. Now we're in the early 2000s, an era that I like to call bigger homes and bigger weak points. In this decade, we see more fiberglass, more blown-in materials, and more rigid foam boards. We also see the increased use of spray foam insulation depending on the region where the home was. Some issues you may be experiencing if your home was built during this decade are hot and cold rooms due to that complex roof line. You're also going to be dealing with temperature swings in rooms due to vaulted ceilings. The cantilevers and bump outs in your home are going to either be really cold or really hot depending on the season, and it's going to be hard to maintain a constant regulated temperature even though you have a newer HVAC system. So why are these issues happening in what's relatively a newer home? Energy codes improved, but these complex architectural designs lended themselves to areas that insulation could never really be installed properly. Now we're in the 2010s to the present, an era that I like to call tight homes with smart system problems. In this era, we're seeing lots of high-density fiberglass, cellulose, and spray foam. We're seeing more rigid boards and materials able to create some manner of an air barrier. These homes deal with humidity issues due to poor ventilation. There's condensation forming in the attic, crawl space, or rim joists due to the building envelope being misaligned. There's also comfort issues in these rooms that have a more complicated design, and while the home is air-sealed, it's not air-balanced. So why are these newer homes experiencing these issues? Homes are being built tighter than ever before. And if the ventilation and building envelope aren't appropriate to the size of the home or the air sealing done to the home, that's when you're going to deal with problems with humidity, condensation, and comfort. Every home carries the fingerprint of the era that it was built in. Having a better understanding about some of the challenges you might face depending on the decade your home was built is going to put you a step closer to having the energy efficient and comfortable home that you've always wanted it to be. You have a better idea of when it was built, and you can better predict what issues may be on the horizon if they aren't happening already. And if you're ready to tackle those, you should check out our dealer finder. There you can find RetroFoam dealers across the country who can help you combat these era-specific issues. I'm your building science brainiac reminding you to bring a little science to every project.